Woo-hoo-hoo! And we're live once again on another Tuesday, and I've got Kevin D. Turner in the house today, and we're just excited to get stuck right in. So, Kevin, before we get going with our topic today, can you just tell people who you are and what you do, and then we'll start chatting?
Absolutely. And I'm excited because technically we're digitally in-house, right? And very soon we're going to be in-house. We're actually going to meet each other. And we've spent hundreds of hours on videos and conferences and all that stuff. We never shook hands or give each other a hug or anything like that. It's going to be neat. So that I'm excited about. My name is Kevin D. Turner. I'm one of the managing partners for TNT Brand Strategist. And what we do is we help organizations and individuals figure out what is it they bring to the table and how do you refine that message so that it is memorable, it's exciting, and when the time comes that your services are needed, they're thinking of you. And so that's what we do. And a sideline of that is I've always been active on LinkedIn since 2005. I love LinkedIn, and I love LinkedIn new features, which frustrates many, but I love it. And I found a way to circumvent the 5 ways of rollout by just getting everybody together to share what we know and present that. And that way, if I'm not first, I don't have to wait. I can figure out what it is. So that's my other piece of what I do. And I love it. And it's just kind of my give back to the community.
I love that. I love that. And I just saw are we at 64 already? 54, 64? Where are we at?
64 changes. So, I never know whether to call it a update, a new feature, or a change. So I'm just leaving it as changes. And I think a lot of them to me are updates, right? If you add another filter to search, is it a new feature or is it another filter? Is it an update to search? So I'm
Love it.
always debating that. But right now, 64 changes that we know of that we've caught in the wild and shared. So yeah,
Love it.
it's
Love
exciting.
it. Love it. Love it. So, our topic today is mastering in person networking strategies for extroverts and introverts. So, the first question is which one of us is which? Who's the extrovert? Who's the introvert? I'm going to wave. I'm the introvert. You're the extrovert. And this is such a fun topic because it's so relevant to we're going to be both at an event next week. The introvert and the extrovert will be there,
Mhm.
as long with our other friends who fall into both categories. And for me, I was confiding in Kevin beforehand. This is my first really, really big event since COVID. Like, I've been to small things like 30 people or something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
But to have an event this big and to have it across the pond is
Yeah.
just kind of like, wow. And I don't think I've ever been somewhere where I knew so many people in advance virtually. I've never had this experience. So, Kevin, you're in the same boat?
That to me is the fascinating part, right? Because we've interacted with many of these people for years, thousands of hours of time together. We've done video even, but we've never really met. So there is a difference in real life. I'm really excited, but I'm also a little nervous because, like, what if I forget somebody or I didn't recognize them from their picture on their profile or any of those kind of things. In that sense, it's a little nerve wracking, right? Because we are going in, and out of the 200 plus attendees, we know half of them at least, and the other half probably knows us now, and they're already saying, "Oh, I can't wait to meet you." I'm like, "Okay, now I need to figure out who you are," and then that's terrible. But that's kind of the situation we're in, and it is exciting. And I'm going to tell you that I really think you're a hybrid.
Hmm.
You're not totally an introvert anymore. I would have given you introvert a couple of years ago. I think you now are morphing into this kind of hybrid, somebody who is feeling through the process of what is. And I think the better we get at networking, the more we become hybrids,
Hmm.
right?
I can see that.
Because introverts have issues, extroverts have issues when we network, and it's good to know what they are. And I hope we get to cover a lot of that today, because that's the exciting part, because everybody thinks, oh, extroverts have it so easy. This is great. There are things they do that I do and I'm working on constantly, that if you change, you become this hybrid, right? You get much more out of the whole process.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, really important to know.
So there's really the first tip. Lean in to the different, the opposite. And I know, like, as an introvert, like a lot of people think introverts are shy, but in reality, it's about our energy level. And,
Mhm.
an extrovert walks into a room full of people and goes, woo, 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 they're energized. And an introvert walks in and goes, "Ugh," and it just sucks the very life out of them. And so I know I have a friend who said, well, here's how I survive conferences. I go to the conference, I go to the one or two things I want to see, and then I spend the rest of the time in my room. And I went, I can't do that. I can't do that
No.
because I have to give a speech. I want to hear the other speakers. And I also want to meet all the people. So I have to kind of like get over my introvert ways of that and lean in and say, okay, there's some extrovert tendencies in me
Mm-mm.
somewhere, but I'll have a great big nap after the conference
There you go.
to
This is
recharge my
your
batteries.
Birmingham Marathon, right? You've been practicing, you've been getting ready for this, you're ready. You'll get there, you'll be able to get through it, but then you probably will crater at the end, just have to sleep for a day. That's okay. But I think
Okay.
you'll feel the excitement. I know it's there.
And
My
and it
problem is I got to turn down the excitement.
mm,
You
mm,
know, not
mm,
be the loudest one in the room, not be the one that soaks energy out, because then I don't get things from others. And
mm,
that's one of the things that introverts have an issue with, right? We talk too much. We have to learn when to stop talking, when to listen, but then we also play a role sometimes in getting others talking,
mm,
right? So we have to cue into them. We have to ask questions that get introverts talking. And
mm,
then even know when we've got another extrovert, when it's time to kind of clear the floor, right? And give somebody else a chance. Because as we realize this, we have to help them kind of realize it as well. Um,
mm,
that's one of the biggest issues that introverts have with this. We don't have any issue with the energy getting into the group, right? We don't have that kind of fear, but we have a tendency to run over everybody. And then you leave a networking meeting as an introvert and you go, "Well, I didn't really meet anybody."
mm.
Right? And so it can be worse, I think, sometimes than the issue of being an introvert and leaving the room saying the same thing. I didn't really meet anybody, right? Or that loudmouth Kevin. It kept going. So we learn in the process.
I love that. I love that. So what are some of the things, like sometimes you're just like, I'm not really sure what I should be talking about. That's, I think, as an introvert, that's always what sticks in my head. It's like, what am I supposed to be talking about? It's like the weather. Like how do you start those conversations? That's what's hard for me, Kevin, is starting the conversations in the first place.
And I think part of this particular group, right? We've spent a lot of time together. They're going to hear us present. They're going to kind of know, they're going to have enough LinkedIn. Maybe not. Some of them might want more, right? But they're going to want to know about us as
Mm,
individuals, and they want to share about them as individuals. So that's a perfect place to start. Where do you live? What's your favorite place to vacation? If you're not on LinkedIn, what are you doing?
mm,
Right? Tell me about something that might surprise me. One of the things I used to love doing on badges, right? They give you that badge, you stick it on your shirt, and it leaves the mark all over your jacket. Instead of just putting your name, I used to put something in there, like eliminating personal branding right underneath
mm,
my name. And people would ask me about it, right? So you can put something more than just first name, last name. That's real formal. Put your first name on there and throw something interesting in there, right? That will get them to ask that question. And that breaks the ice right out the chute. I think most places that I've been to that have thought ahead of time to say, tell us one thing that nobody else would know in the room about you, put it on
mm.
your badge. It works really well because then
Wow.
people will ask.
I love that because that usually is a conversation starter. Like if
Mhm.
you think about, okay, what are those things that people would say, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
It's
wouldn't have
kind of,
guessed.
yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so if we if we weren't just going to a conference and, because there's lots of other ways that you can meet people. Like I was telling you that recently, Michelle B. Griffin came to Las Vegas.
Mhm.
And so we got together and we had a wonderful afternoon. And that was just such a great testament of meeting somebody in person who we've, spoken in the DMs, we've been on each other's
Yeah.
show, we've worked together, we've done a lot of stuff together. And when we met, it was just like, I know you. Like there was not even a hesitation. We sat down and it was just like, oh my gosh, where did that 2 hours go? It just
Yeah.
literally flew. And so meeting people, it's like if you've already developed the rapport virtually, it really feels pretty straightforward to
Yeah.
transfer. Have you found that, Kevin, that like when you do meet people, it just keeps going?
Absolutely. And I always suggest when you are traveling, if you kind of know what that schedule is, if it's very predictable, get on LinkedIn and look, who do I know? I'm going to Atlanta today. Who do I know? I'd see, Rachel, I'd invite her. You want to grab a cup of coffee or breakfast or, something along that line. You always want to do that
Mm,
because it does bring these meetings together. People do go out of their way. I've had people come through Dallas and they say, I'm coming into Dallas, and they'll say Dallas, Fort Worth. And if you drive from one side of Dallas, Fort Worth to the other, it's an hour and a half. Not LA kind of hour and a half. This is actually driving at 60 miles an hour, but it's still, you could be one end of the spectrum to the other. I've made those drives. I've made hour drives because somebody's coming to town, right? And you make the extra effort, and it's big because it does change the relationship. People become more human when you take them out of the digital realm, right? So I always suggest that if you're traveling, always do that. If you read that somebody's got a presentation and it happens to be in your town, reach out to them and just, hey, if you've got a few minutes, I'd love to meet you while you're here,
mm,
right? Worst thing they can say is my schedule's too busy, but let's talk another time. Most of the time they're going to be, yeah, absolutely. Or they might even invite you to the event, which could
mm.
be a big plus.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see that. That's great. That's great. So, I guess maybe one of the questions is how do you think it differs? Like we have our virtual relationships. What's the advantage of meeting somebody in person? How does that actually change our relationships?
I think there's a level of emotion, right? Emotional intelligence, emotional contact that you get when it is real life. Digital has a separation to it, right? It's a lot easier, starting out to do videos than it is to do live presentations, right?
Mm,
Because you have a digital kind of wall around you. The same thing in real life, but what you realize when you go to talk to people, to me, it's much more comfortable
mm,
than even the digital side of it. But for some people, that might be one of those fears. I would just say, don't have that fear. People are people. They have the same thoughts. They have the same anxieties. Sometimes the same kind of energies that you'll have, and you'll find people that fit and feel right. And it's neat just to kind of take them out of that digital kind of flat process into real life. So
mm.
to me, I'm excited about that.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
And my only fear is that time is going to speed up when I'm going to want it to slow down. And I just like I would hate if I could leave Brum because I can't say the name of Birmingham, right? But I'd hate when I leave Brum and I go, oh, I didn't see this person, or I never got a chance to see that person. So it's almost like I want like a dance card where I go, I make sure that like, okay, I've met all these people. If anything, I would love if we could have like a speed
And
dating.
that's something you've got to do when you're doing a meeting like this. You do have to have a plan, right? Who do
Mm,
you want to meet? And it could be people you've already met that you want to extend the relationship, or it could be people you've never met that you want to build a relationship with. Have your list, right? So that you're getting to those individuals, and then even reach out to them ahead of time to increase that possibility. Hey, I'd love to take 10 minutes of your time at some point. Just want to give you the heads up, so they know you have an expressed interest in meeting with them. That you don't have to set a time, right? Because of this thing over a day, there'll be time to kind of run into each other, but it keeps their eye out for you as well.
Mm,
And so I think that's really important to have that plan of who you want to meet and then what do you want to get from that meeting.
mm,
And, for me, I'm not so sure I want to get any more information about LinkedIn. I want to get something about them that I didn't know, right? Something that's interesting, something that I connect to. Um, and that also goes back to how I usually figure out names, right? That I don't know, this is kind of off subject, but that the visual name game, right? Where you visualize people based on either the environment you meet them in or how they look or, something to that effect where you tie that into remembering the name. And
mm.
I'm already looking at how do I take all these great attendants to Uplift Live, right? And start memorizing them through this kind of visual association. So I'm already in that process. I will probably fail miserably at some point. Somebody will say something and I won't get it. So my apologies ahead of time, but I'm trying
I love
because
that
there's so
you're
many people going.
trying. I
Yeah.
love that you're trying, and
Yeah.
I can see you studying on the plane. Don't
That's
talk to
probably
me.
right.
I'm cramming. I'm cramming for the
If I'm
conference.
not writing my presentation during the plane ride. Shh,
I
don't tell
love it.
John.
Shh, shh, shh. Okay, so let's hop over. We've got some friends in the house today. So let's hop
All
over
right.
and see if we have some questions or comments for us. So Jeff Young, here's an ESFJ who is ready to learn some new strategies from two LinkedIn mavens, Jillian and Kevin. And you know what? I love this, Jeff, that you have put your 16 personality Myers-Briggs. Kevin, are you the same? Are you the ESF? You're a P, I think.
I'm commander.
The
Is that
commander.
ENTJ? Is that right?
Okay. Yeah. I,
I
I
think
think
so.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and
I like
it's
short names as opposed to lots of letters.
yes, yes. And I think it's really good that if you can figure out like anybody who's an INFJ, it's like I need to find my INFJs at the conference because we're identical. I'll just make a little sign and everybody will join me in the corner. So it'd be good. It'd be good. Okay, Mary Wu says, dang, I usually watch these lives, but these two talking about in-person networking. Oh, she's having major like, I want to come, I want to come. So
Oh.
I'm putting in a bid that Uplift Live comes next year to the USA, and I'm bucking for
Oh, now,
Nashville.
now
That's
she did say she would do the Bahamas
oh, there we go.
as an alternative, and I'm in on that.
There we go. There we go. There we go. That's weird. Her comment came 3 times. Okay, I'm all in for GNK today. Who brought the coffee? No coffee, but there is popcorn. Okay, so here's a lovely man, a sharp dressed man. The other day, he did such an awesome pick. Niraj, he is going to be coming from Ireland over to Uplift Live and joining us. Jillian and Kevin, can't wait to meet you next week at Uplift Live. Can't wait to meet you either. So that's going to be
And
awesome.
Niraj did something really special, right? For both of us, reached out ahead of time and said, if you'd like to run around London, I'll show you around. I'll take you to the best places to eat, give you an insider's view. That is networking, right?
Mm.
It didn't take much to do. It's got a lot of kind of just coolness to it because when you're traveling, you're definitely on the outside, So to have somebody inside helping you move through the process and to see things, it's huge, and it does make your trip better, and it does make relationships better. So it was
Yes.
really neat that Niraj did that because that is networking.
Yes. Yes. And it's nice to know people care about you.
Mhm.
It's that they see this as an opportunity of, okay, you're coming. I want to make sure that I see you, I spend time with you, as opposed to, you know. So it's a nice feeling. It made me feel very, very welcome, very loved.
Mhm.
You can feel loved. I like it. We can say loved. It's good. So yeah, another team introvert here. We got a lot of teams. Sadia says she's an introvert. See, all the introverts come out. G says, G tuning in from Texas. Yay, I'm so excited for the two of you to finally connect in real life. Kevin and Jillian, wishing you all a blast at Uplift Live. FOMO. Now you met G. You met G,
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. And she is everything she is on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
You would know her. Even if you was across the room, you'd know her. So I love when people are who they are, whether it's digital or in real life. So that's always an exciting thing. I'm kind of interested. I'm going to keep score during this thing. How many people I met that weren't who I thought they were, right?
Mm,
Not in a negative sense, but they were just very different than what I thought of them on LinkedIn. So it'll be really interesting, and I think some people will surprise me. I'm sure I might surprise some people. So we have these kind of ways of thinking of things, and sometimes we're not always right. And that's the nice thing about that real life networking, right? Because it kind of sets the record straight in a
right.
lot of ways.
Right, right. And to be honest with you, I'm going to put in a plug for video, whether it's live video or
Mhm.
recorded video, that the people who I've already, even if they haven't been on my show or anything like that, if I've seen them do video, I immediately have an image now of who they are, and I
Oh yeah.
will I will find them quicker. And chances are, if you do video, it's kind of hard to keep faking it on video. You could probably
Mhm.
do a
Mhm.
couple and have some, I don't know, some fancy videographer, do all your stuff for you, and you're just always looking perfect. But most of us seem to make real videos and we go, "Oh yeah, that's the way they talk when they cook," and do
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that. And the and so when you meet people after seeing their videos, most people are the same. It's when we've never seen anything beyond the text post that it's
yeah.
really hard for us to get a feel for, "Oh, I didn't know you were like that."
Absolutely. And you normally have just a profile picture on people who are very text driven, right? You don't really even get other pictures. Some people are just, very matter of fact. I don't share a lot of personal information on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
but I probably share too much personality, you know. But video helps with that, right? People get a better feel for me. And, that to me is, I guess, one of the coolest dynamics of video
Mm.
is it does have that kind of authenticity that establishes it's not over polished, it's not over edited, it's not over produced. People get it, right? It's like they're having a conversation with you.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we have some more comments. Ambiverts. Okay, we got ambiverts in the house. So ambiverts are supposed to be those people that are kind of in the middle, and it is a true spectrum,
Yeah,
introversion and extroversion. And I'm an introvert, but I'm probably in the middle,
you're
sort of.
evolving into that ambivert, if not an extrovert at some point.
Or else I fake it real well. I still need lots of naps. I have a huge energy level, so that's one thing. That's one thing. So G says, "I test out as an extrovert, per MBTI." See, she's like so HR here. So I think that's Myers-Briggs, but really I'm an ambivert right there in between. So I think ambiverts actually have the best of both worlds because you're probably the anybody. Okay, so I'm going to give a challenge. Anybody coming to Uplift Live, if you're an ambivert, be an introducer, be a connector,
Mhm, mhm.
because the introverts are sitting there going, "Ooh." The extroverts are like buzzing.
Did I lose you, Jillian? Jillian, I don't know if I lost you. You're still on my screen. I don't know if I'm still. Hey, Jillian. Just like an introvert. Left me here hanging. I don't know if Jillian is there, if she's gone. All I know is I've got a still screen. So I guess I'll keep talking unless Jillian tells me not to. Um, so a couple things that I like to do, while networking is when you get somebody's name, make sure that you're using their name in the conversation. Make sure that they're hearing their name. Dale Carnegie's always had that saying that was the sweetest sound a person can ever hear And it's true. So it also helps you kind of remember that name going forward. So I always like that process. Another thing that I think is really important in networking is follow up. You're not just there for that conversation. There are things that you will say, I'll send that to you, or you might be interested in this. Follow up with them, show that you are interested, right? That follow up is a huge difference. Extroverts are really bad at it. Introverts are much better at follow up because they've been listening. So, one of the things that we talked about earlier is some of the challenges with an extrovert is we have a tendency to talk too much. We have a tendency to talk over people. And so we want to dial that back as extroverts. We want to avoid kind of, I guess, overpowering the crowd. So you got to slow down a little bit. You got to ask more questions, right? And listen to the answers. And that's where you're going to be taking note, mental note, or otherwise, so that you can follow up. So that's one of those things that I think introverts need to do more of in this situation. Going into any meeting, any kind of networking meeting, you want to have a plan, right? You want to prepare, know who's going to be there, who you want to see, do a little background on them, do some time on LinkedIn, look to see, what they know, how you're connected, those kind of things, what opportunities they might be interested in. So have that plan together, know what you want to get from that individual conversation, have your target list of people you want to meet because you want to develop the relationship, or people you want to meet because you want to start a relationship. Um, Trying to think what else I can tell you. One of the actually, there's a couple of things that I found that have really helped in live networking meetings. One of them is people have a tendency to wait at the door to grab people when they're coming in. When somebody's coming in or they're trying to get out, they're not looking to network. So what they're looking for is kind of either escape or I need to get comfortable. They usually head to the buffet, the bar, something to that effect. Find yourself somewhere on the exit point of that buffet and bar. Then you'll run into people who are ready to talk, ready to meet. And I think that's a big change in kind of positioning yourself, ready to go. Um, I always bring a phone loaded with a QR code. See if I can even show you. So I have all my contacts. See if you can see that right there. So somebody could scan that. They could get my phone number. They could make a connection right onto LinkedIn. Um, I don't know where Jillian is. So Jillian, are you coming back? Maybe not. This is Jillian's real test for me. So I'm just going to keep going until Jillian gets in here and cuts me off. Um, One little thing that I like to do, and events that do this, I think, are smart, is kind of a name tag teaser. So instead of putting your full name on there, maybe your company, put your first name on there and tell me something about you that I might not have known, that I might find of interest. And then when you're getting into groups, people will read those tags really quick. They know the name and they know something unusual about you. It's a real great way to kind of start the conversation going. And I think that's kind of a neat tip. I do it anyway. And so I usually put eliminating personal branding right underneath Kevin. People get it and they ask me about it. So it starts the conversation. Um, I think what else I can tell you. Um, that's it. The only thing I can say is throughout my career, I've had 6 pivots, some forced upon me, some made by choice, but networking has always beaten not working. And that's whether you are working or you are unemployed or you're in transition. If you continually network, opportunities will come your way at the right time. And networking is a two-way process. As much as you get out of it, you should be giving back to it. So I know we've kind of hit the 30 minutes. I'm not sure where Jillian is or if I'm the one missing, but either way, I think that's probably the end of today. Thank you very much, and hope to see Jillian again. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was weird. Looks like I've lost Kevin. I have no idea what was going on today with I don't know if the internet crashed or what it was. But anyways, I'm back. Sorry about that, everybody. Sorry I lost Kevin. So stuff happens on a live. So this is kind of what happens. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And I do apologize. I'm not sure if StreamYard went down. My Wi-Fi went down. Had to scramble to a whole other computer. So it was a bit crazy. So anyways, we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.